All right, we should be live. It's been quite some time. Let me just pop out the chat there so I can see y'all. Now, I do apologize for any newcomers, but I have started putting on subscriber only chat, mainly because I've been very active against what is happening in the gaming industry, and I suspect that they are sending in stooges to my Discord and my Facebook and my live streams and stuff like that to spy on me and see what I'm doing. Hey, everybody. Apologize for the summariness. I know it's about mid-afternoon or something like that over in the States right now. It's the morning over here in the beautiful sunny New Zealand, and it's real hot. A live stream, yeah, I know. Let's go. It's been so long. Big news. So for a little bit of catch up for everybody. Hello. Hey, Nick. Hey, Greenscythe. Enkel Crow. Voices from the Dark. Comic Nut. Daniel, Rotio, the Mighty Moose, Ben C, Nick, how's it going? Oh, it's been so long. Getting swole, yeah. I've got to talk about that as well, and my health and stuff, because there's been developments. As you know, those of you who have been on my Discord, things like that, I had a bit of a meltdown around the end of the year. Hey, thanks, Ben. Super chat, let's go. Cheers, Gadzooks. Yeah. So there's a reason why I'm looking a bit swollen, a bit trim, and that's because I've got a condition, a health condition. It's a genetic one, and at the tender old age, I'm going to be 50 next month on Valentine's Day, and my health was really declining, and the YouTube thingy, staying inside and sitting in a chair all day wasn't really helping. And then it sort of came to a point where I was just like, what is going on with my health? It's just not normal. And I did a bit of, I was just browsing through the internet, and I discovered that my symptoms exactly match this fairly rare condition called EDS, or Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a genetic mutation of the genes which code for your connective tissue collagen. So I have a hyperflexibility and lots of weird stuff involved in that. If you want to look it up, EDS or Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and you'll know what it is. It's an interesting condition because it's very different for everybody who's got it. It manifests in lots of different ways. It's only about the last 7 years or so that they've really started seeing that it's more commonplace than they thought. So part of the treatment for that is I lost a lot of weight. I've lost about 30 kg, and I work out multiple times per day to support my muscles because my ligaments and stuff don't support my joints, and the joints go out of place all the time and cause a lot of pain. So I've lived in chronic pain my entire life and not really known why. And yeah, it gets stressful, and I get very tired. I've also got POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia. Tachycardia sounds scary, and it is. It means that if I stand up really quickly, my body doesn't compensate for gravity, and my brain thinks that I've lost all oxygen, and it starts hammering my heart, and I feel like I'm having a heart attack. And I can also pass out. So it's something I've been living with for quite some time, and it's also something which is relatively commonplace in my family, and we've never really known why. It's been an interesting few months. That also, I've got my dad is in. He's got cancer, and that was also really weighing heavily on my mind as well. So I'm sorry, everybody, for my actions and behavior over the end of December there, but I needed to withdraw from social media and get some help, which I did. I've gotten a lot of support. I'm very thankful for all the people in my family, particularly for supporting me, and also for everybody who stuck by me and understood that I'm a creative person, and creative people are quite often quite smart. And we also quite often have mental illness and mental issues that we need to deal with from time to time. And I think a lot more forgiveness for people in the creative community for occasionally having meltdowns should be extended. And also for people in the creative community, if you are having stress and stuff like that, step back and let people know that you're suffering and hurting. And I'm afraid that depression in me sometimes manifests as an aggressive pushing of people away, and I can't help it. That was another reason why I was just like, I told everybody to F off, and I regret that, but I couldn't express it any other way at the time. I just wasn't in the mental state to do it. So thank you for the 5-minute explanation there. And also that's why, I look the way I do, and I work out all the time. But I also spend like 20 minutes lying down on the floor sleeping every half an hour or sometimes. I have good days and I have bad days. Good days I'm very productive. Bad days I struggle to do simple tasks. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, good news, bad news, and good news. Bad news, of course, because our industry is in a state of absolute upheaval. But I think that's just 2023. I think 2023 is just taking off with like a whole different energy to what we've had for the last few years. And I think it's just a bubbling malcontent amongst everybody that they're just sick and tired of bullshit. And I'm not going to name any names, but there's a certain corporation right now which is just hammering us with relentless bullshit. And this morning was another case of prime grade A draft bullshit. Like this, the moment I saw the word draft used again, I literally almost put a hole in my wall. I was so angry, I just lashed out. And I barely made it through the rest of the statement. So that's all I'm really going to say about it. They suck. I'm done with them. They can go jump off a cliff. I don't give a damn what they do from this point on. I don't care what the licensing agreement or anything like that. They've never been able to touch my content anyway. We all know that. They don't have a legal foot to stand on. And if they try and pressure me, I just go to other mediums and do my thing elsewhere. I'm a creative person. I'll be creative in whatever sphere that is available to me that I can reach my audience, which is you. So they can't stop me, and they can't silence me, and the rest of the community, and and they can't get away with it this time. So so this is really good for a lot of indie designers and indie game developers. As you know, everybody and their dog is designing an RPG right now. The difference with me designing an RPG is that I have a licensed signed agreement with Trollhalla Press. Trollhalla Press is Tunnels and Trolls, right? This is Ken St. Andre. This is the second ever RPG ever produced and published and sold in the United States, as far as anybody knows, who was there at the time. And also, D&D has never been, sorry for using that word, has never been my main game. It's not the one that I started DMing with. I've always played it, but I started DMing with Palladium and Heroes Unlimited titles and stuff like that. So this is my favorite RPG system. D&D is not. It never has been. The main reason why I make D&D content is because I responded to the feedback. I always respond to the feedback and the requests that you give me for content. So if you ask me to make a video about something, I'll make a video about it. Sometimes not, but sometimes eventually. It might be months or years, but I'll get around to it eventually. I have a list of requests that I consult whenever I'm looking for ideas or anything for the next thing, and something isn't immediately on my mind. I'll go to my request list and I'll get a topic that you've asked for, and I'll make a video about it. I don't care what game system it comes from. So the main reason why I wasn't making Pathfinder content is because Pathfinder is so adjacent to D&D, it would have just been confusing for everybody because I was covering stats and stuff. Around 30th of December, I asked everybody, do you want me to actually cover stats and stuff in my videos, or do you want me to just tell you stories about lore from everything and go independent? And over 70% of you responded no. Go away from D&D and do other stuff. So I was already leaving Dungeons and Dragons, and that was when I got this wind from Taryn and various others, Indestructible Boy and various others that I talk to all the time because we do the D&D roundtable and we all talk on Discord. And the wind came down the pipeline of the OGL thing, but that wasn't what I was leaving Wizards of the Coast for. It's because of their continual drive. Like, this is not, the OGL thing is not a new thing. And this is something which has been in the pipeline for Hasbro and D&D for months and months, possibly even a few years. So everybody's saying, Dungeons and Dragons and Wizards of the Coast, they're so innocent and stuff. The staff at Wizards of the Coast, anybody who knew that this was in the pipeline, as far as I'm concerned, are guilty as charged. Okay, they're complicit. They could have told us all about this, but now they're bringing out these leaks because it's gotten so bad all so suddenly. always headed that way. They've been dumbing down the content to make D&D into a computer game run by an AI that they play on D&D Beyond, like an MMO, and they've designed the game for 8-year-olds. That's what their objective is. That's all their objective is. They haven't deviated from that at all. All of their statements have not deviated from that a bit. And the main reason is because they've got $200+ million invested into this. They are not changing course. So we have to essentially just boycott a lot of it. So I'm just saying, like, they've got a lot of money invested into the merchandise that they're going to be selling for this movie. So although boycotting the movie isn't really going to do a hell of a lot other than send a signal to their shareholders that Hasbro's actions are detrimental to the brand, which is earning the shareholders, a lot of money. But also, if we stop buying all that merchandise and stuff because we've got no interest in the movie, we don't buy the Nerf stuff, we don't buy the My Little Pony, we don't buy all the G.I. Joe and the Transformers crap that they put out, it hurts them because they've already invested that money in there, and it's just pieces of plastic on the shelf that we don't buy that they have to dump. And that will kill them. The corporation isn't invulnerable. It doesn't have unlimited resources. They need money to breathe. We don't. We don't need to touch anything they have. All we have to do is literally do nothing other than be creative, support each other, and explode into a new creative industry where everybody gets to play really cool games. And I've always been a person who is a polymath of D&D, a polymath of role-playing. So I've played many, many, many different game systems, and this last 4 years of concentrating only on one kind of babyfied game system has been detrimental to my creative freedom. And I don't regret anything, but yeah. Okay, so sorry. Back to the that mustache. Thanks, David. Just started learning the Rift system for one of my friends, group swapping systems. Super excited. Yeah, Rift is really good. So today I wanted to talk about Godforge, the system that I'm coming up with. Now, I don't refer to it as Godforge, the role-playing game, because role-playing is just one element. And I wanted to talk about what I'm going to actually be designing for this game. Yeah, hashtag the 1D&D. Sure, go for it. Yeah, we're all. I mean, are there any 8-year-olds in the chat? I don't think so. This is not a hobby for 8-year-olds. You know, Hasbro's just after them because there's a new batch of 8-year-olds all the time. That's why, if you look at the game, there's no responsibility in it. There's no such thing as paying taxes. There's no organizations that you answer to because 8-year-olds don't understand that. So there's nothing to spend your money on. Like, why would you pay dues to your guild? Why would you have upkeep on a keep and stuff like that? Because 8-year-olds don't understand rent. They don't understand people employed by you, you know? Hello? And yeah, they're just trying to be more and more restrictive. So enough of that. Screw them. Screw them. I'm not even going to talk about it. So yeah, exactly, Warrior Womp. The Sage of the Multiverse. So my character, the Sage, has transitioned into being a immortal that travels the entire multiverse of all role-playing games. So if you have questions about Rifts, if you have questions about DBs, if you have a question about Tolkien and the war against the CS states and the Federation of Magic, if you've got questions about Rifts Atlantis, Phase World, Scrapers, Gramercy Island, any of that role-playing, the Palladium stuff, I know it like the back of my hand. And I can easily find any obscure information that you want. I'm studying and going through all of the Tunnels and Trolls stuff as well. There's a huge amount of stuff to get through. The Tunnels and Trolls system is very simple in its mechanics. Like, you can pick it up in literally about a minute of explaining it to somebody. It's a lot easier to play than even 5th edition. So it's a rules light system, you could say, but it's also incredibly elegant and it covers everything. So rules light doesn't mean not capable of detailed roleplay. It's just that it doesn't require you to, a monster's got dark vision. How far is the dark vision? Who cares? As long as it frickin' needs to be. It doesn't need to be 60 feet or 120 feet. Who cares? It's a creature that can see in the dark. How far exactly does a cat see in the dark? Do you know? No. So what does it matter? Cats can see in the dark. So the basic core of Godforge is a very simple and elegant system that's been around for 50 years. I'm not going to change that a bit. It's going to be backwards compatible with every Tunnels and Trolls and Monsters game that you can play. The difference between Tunnels and Trolls and Monsters is Tunnels and Trolls, you basically play a bunch of adventurers who go into a dungeon, kill some monsters, take their stuff, and go back to town and get rich and famous. Yay. In Monsters, you are the monsters, and the interloping adventurers are coming into your place, and they've been killing your family members for generations and stealing your family heirlooms. So you're going to leave the dungeon, go to the town, and kick the shit out of the adventurers. That's basically it. It's like 3.5 edition's Savage Species with a rules light system that's kind of similar to Choose Your Own Adventure books. Just use the 6-sided dice. So that's all you're going to need to play my game as well. And the core of my game is that it's a science fantasy extrapolation in the far, far future at the end of time itself, where the immortals are fighting against the returned old ones who have come back down from the higher dimensions to take back over the multiverse. But you don't really need to know about any of that. It just is the reason why that this world exists. The world is a massive Dyson sphere of high technology, and it's so advanced that it seems like magic. And that is really the crux of the beauty of it, the simplicity of it. It explains why all these creatures have got a common language, for instance, because they've got nanomachines in there which program to all understand each other. They've got magic is tied to the actual technology of the world itself, and it's got a flaw to it that is self-modulating, that results in older civilizations decaying into demons and things like that, but they have power over the environment itself. And of course, divine power is the whole point of the Godforge, because the immortals are recreating extinct species, biological species from all across the multiverse, and putting them in through this into this environment and letting them just do their thing. But it's all specifically designed so that they have beliefs and they start manifesting gods. The gods then start manifesting quantum effects which aren't accounted for by the closed system. It then sends a feedback signal back to the immortals. The immortals go, aha! We have gods there now. We've got a new crop of gods. They then return to the world, harvest all of the populations that have viable gods, take the gods and a battery of believers with them to go off and fight against the returned old ones using gods as weapons, weaponized belief and faith and gods, right? So these quantum beings that can alter reality. So in this, the modification is going to be magic. Arcane magic can't make something out of nothing. It is bound by the laws of physics. So opposites, for every action, there's a reaction sort of thing. So you can you can do things because there's this like the nanotechnology inside all the creatures is kind of like midichlorians in Star Wars. To sum it up, so you can manifest something which is manipulating the nanotechnology in another creature because you've tied into that way. But that's because there's a flaw. There's a feedback flaw because the nanomachines are replicating inside you, and over time, the replication causes increased malfunction and mutation and deactivation of certain abilities and activations of others. So it factors in chaos as being part of magic, which is one of the things I love the most, and also mutation and stuff like that being associated with arcane magic and arcane forces. So the divine stuff is like, you've got relatively primitive cultures next to more developed ones, and it just gives you this infinite amount of variety and complexity. It's going to be combined with about 20 years worth of work and it started about 20 years ago, where me and this other writer, Marco Ferraro, created the Cosmic Creation Netbook online. You can still go and access it. It's got some random roll tables there for generating alien life forms. This is a particular specialty of mine. As you know, I do monster ecologies and things like that, but I also make monster generation tables that will blow your mind. And I'm going to absolutely pack this book with stuff, a resource that you can use for any game system. If you don't want to use the Tunnels and Trolls system, which is easy enough, it just generates all sorts of random life forms. Those of you who have been talking to me about it on Discord and stuff will have seen this sort of thing. I'm just going to address a couple of the live chats, the super chats here. Sorry, I'm kind of like ranting at everybody, but I needed to get some stuff out. Top 5 RPGs where a character can start with a set of power armor. Yeah, that's one of them. Rifts is certainly, Glitter Boy power armor is pretty kick-ass. Also, Heroes Unlimited has got a really good power armor generation system and the point buy system and stuff like that for stuff. And I really like in Heroes Unlimited how you can randomly generate pretty much anything in that book. And that's one of the things I love the most about random generation tables that are very comprehensive in a book is you have this emergent synergy that happens sometimes. And the random rolls just happen to make this perfectly worked out character. Like it couldn't possibly be random chance, but it is, you know. So that's what I'm looking for, that little kismet moment. Ben C, thank you. Best system for a faithful Mad Max style RPG. Well, it's not really a matter of system. I don't think game systems, they do certainly lend a certain ear to things. And with those, you want something which has got a survival aspect to it, which affects your character's stats. So the more they run out of resources, the harder things are to do, and they have to take more desperate chances. Obviously, dystopian sort of like Dark Sun, Athos type situations are really good for that. Heroes Unlimited, the Palladium system has got Roadhogs after the bomb, and you've got systems like Car Wars, which is a really good sort of post-apocalyptic vehicle combat game. There's lots of different options, and I can certainly go through a lot of those for you, more than I can think of, you know, at the drop of a hat. I've literally forgotten more game systems than most people know. Okay, what's the next one? Fraggle Rock RPG? Probably not. Fraggle Rock is currently in development still. They've got a new TV series which is coming out, and I've sent an email out to them, but I haven't got a response from them at all. So I just dropped that, basically. I'm still willing to write a Fraggle Rock RPG, for sure. But I'll never write for that the wankers on the coast. Comic Nut. Thank you. They have angered the Kiwi. Now we attack at dawn. Don't worry, AJ. Don't need to apologize for anything. And don't worry, I'm no stooge for any company. I'm just a stooge as in Mo, Larry, and Curly. Thanks, mate. Nice. Hey, don't get nasty with each other, please. Gatus, thank you. Thanks for the green light on using the open source logo on my item cards. Looking forward to your continued journey, Excelsior, from the home game. Thank you. Yep, feel free to use that. Robin, thank you. Are there dragons in Godforge asking for a friend? Yes, if you want there to be. This is the thing. I'm going to include a set of core species which I have created for you. So, oh, that's right. I didn't get to the actual core 3 pillars of the game. The 3 core pillars in the game, and the reason why I call it science fantasy gaming, is that all of the random roll tables that you use for generating life forms and civilizations and their developmental history and stuff, as you know, for those of you who like those sort of role-playing games where you develop a timeline and create this unique culture and unique history, that is going to be incorporated as a core solo play sort of game. So you can generate these species, you can generate your own adventures, and you can actually totally solo play. Everything that you need is in the book to generate limitless amounts of campaign materials, new species that you can roleplay with, and also new species that you can wargame with. So the second pillar of the game is going to be a skirmish style, very rules simple, squad-based, Morkborg, Frostgrave type miniature skirmish game. So those of you who are not comfortable with role-playing can still use the book and all of its resources to create an infinite variety of armies and cultures and technology mixes and magic and stuff like that. Mutations, the environmental effects that are built into the lore of the game, and it's just very, very elegant the way I'm going to work it all out for you. So you can play infinite amounts of skirmish games, and not only that, because the world itself is generating all these different species across space and time, you can incorporate any miniatures from any role-playing system or wargaming system that you own. Anything. Also, because when the ancients return and they harvest the world and they take away all these living organisms, they sort of reset the environment. But the environment is old. The Dyson Sphere is old, and they never really do it completely. So there's always ruins left over and artifacts from previous civilizations. One of the things I love about arcana of the ancients is the ability to find high-tech magic items. One of the things I love about Paranoia is characters not being able to understand high technology and explaining a relatively simple thing like a kettle or a calculator or, you know, a hairdryer. A hairdryer looks like a weapon of some kind, but it's not. But they don't know that. What does it run on? We don't know. Crystals? Insects? You know? Who knows? So there's that element to it as well. So you have all these, all the cool stuff I love about all the games which I've loved over the years. I'm paying homage. Like, I'm not building this from scratch. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, you know. But the random roll tables is really the thing that I'm putting in there to as a gift to all role players, because it's going to be one hell of a resource that you can use. I'm also going to be including a little chapter at the end of the thing where I talk about AI and stuff like that, because it's relatively topical. It's something that may be dropped from if there's any future editions of the game. But at the moment, you can use chat AI and stuff like that to generate random alien species and stuff. I've proved that it's perfectly viable and it can work for a system like this. So you have the power of AI at your fingertips too, with a system designed to incorporate it. The third pillar, of course, aside from wargaming and solo play, is group roleplay. And as you can see, it's all designed to work perfectly together. You've got the combat rules, are very basic and simple and streamlined because they're designed to work with a tactical skirmish game anyway, so they're tight. The roleplay and the depth of character development and histories and all that sort of stuff is incredibly deep. It's as deep as you want to go. The lore that I'm putting into the secrets for the Game Master section is going to be incredibly rich. And those of you who I've talked to about this, about the Immortals and the Old Ones and all that sort of stuff, and the reason why this all works, it's just, yeah, it's pretty good. And it's designed for if you have that one particular player who's just like, in the dungeon that we're in, I'm like, yeah, this ruin. It's like, yeah, why can't I read any of the runes and stuff? But my character can talk to any creature because we all share the common language. Why are the runes in all these dungeons and stuff never in common? It's because they reset the language setting every time they reap the world. So all of the ruins and all of the old species speak a different language from you. That's why there's conflict. That's why it's mysterious. That's why you investigate. That's why there's those who actually figure out how to learn a different language. See, it's just so elegant. I love it. So yes, there will be dragons, if you want to, and also much more. I think you could, thanks Troy, I think you could write a book where a demon gets transported to Pathfinder and becomes a sort of after professor that needs to survive through knowledge. Yeah, you could do that. Thanks. Welcome to Bronze Dragon membership, Sound Conjurer. Thanks, Troy. Have they come after your video money yet? I have seen a definite dip in my my evergreen revenue because all of the videos that are labeled with Dungeons and Dragons lore at the moment, obviously people are not clicking on those because they just don't want to think about Dungeons and Dragons right now. They are traumatized. They are hurting. They are going through the 7 stages of grief. And I understand that. I can withstand a little dip in my revenue of $1,000 a month. I can handle that. Okay, I have to tighten my belt a little bit, but it's okay. I'm used to. I can live on a shoestring budget. I'm fine. I'm good. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to carry on making my lore content and stuff at the same time that I'm doing this work and things as well. Trollhalla Press has given me a contract. I can talk about this contract with you. And I reached out to Ken St. Andre. He's 73 or so now, so I was surprised to even he contacted me. He messaged me back straight away, and he basically said, "Yep, we've got a sort of thing in the pipeline." Because I asked him, "Are you doing an open source thing like Paizo and Cobalt Press are doing?" And he's like, "No, we're still sticking with Tunnels and Trolls, but we are releasing a free version of the Tunnels and Trolls rules for everybody to see, along with some promos for what upcoming titles are going to be attached to it." He gave me the copy of the contract, and the contract, which I have sitting on my wall right here, it's 2 pages, and it costs, the licensing agreement was for 7 years, automatically renewing at the same cost. The cost is $10 US sent to Steve's PayPal, and it's a 4% royalty agreement. Straight up, that's it. So you compare that to any contract that other company has ever given anybody, and it's night and day. So this is a sweetheart handshake deal. Welcome into the fold. You want to make something for Tunnels and Trolls? Go for it. You want to make something for Monsters? Go for it. They are very excited about what I've got planned, and have included I had to generate a promo image, the sort of cover image for my book in one day, because the timeline was pretty crunchy. So yeah, we got that done, and thanks for everybody's feedback on that as well. So it's happening, And there's some other really talented writers who are currently writing stuff for Trollhalla Press and the Tunnels and Trolls system. So it's all go. We are a network. So that's the main difference between me and other people who are making RPGs, is I have a big publishing company with a lot of experience and power behind them, and a lot of people know their names, and they've got a lot of fingers and a lot of pies, because they've been around from the very beginning, and they have massive amounts of respect. These guys are just like my people, they've got integrity and honesty, and they support other creative people. So I just felt like I was coming home, really. I would have loved to have written something for Palladium Books, but Palladium Books has got a very tight handle on things. They always really have. And although they're sort of transitioning to a new leadership over there, Kevin Simbita is kind of stepping back from the CEO position a little bit and retiring, as he should. He deserves it. And they're going with, they've got Savage Species rule set that they've adapted to the lore of Rifts to, which is really cool, and it's been quite popular. And yeah, so I'm still watching and seeing what things are going on there, but obviously it's all been on the back burner for a while. So now I'm sort of turning my attention back to all of the RPG systems that I've always loved. Yeah, it's me, Matt. How? Thank you, Matt. I used to work in the food industry. So did I. I was a cook for 14 years. Our family owned a seafood kitchen. Hasbro making familiar mistakes. Corporations don't understand the concept of listening and love the content sir. Thank you very much. Yeah, they don't. Hasbro is completely tone deaf, and they're locked into a course of action that they will not deviate from, because they are under an enormous amount of pressure from the shareholders right now, who are watching their moves very closely. I think back in summer of last year or something like that, they had a shareholder group that were trying to spin Wizards of the Coast off as an independent entity from Hasbro's control, because they saw the writing on the wall, I think, maybe. And although that group sort of got squashed down and got downplayed a lot, I think they're a lot more powerful and influential than people think. And what we're going to see is they do things by quarterly cycles in the investment cycles, shareholder world, Wall Street world. And so we're not going to see the impact of this in the shareholders for quite some time. But it's coming, and Hasbro knows that it's coming, and they are desperate right now. They're a lot more desperate than they're letting on. So that's encouraging, and we need to keep on hitting them relentlessly, no matter what they do, until they have an actual contract, an actual OGL. Until they either flat out say that they're not going to make any alterations to the OGL at all, or they have something which is physically there that they're not just talking about, but it's actually there, because they keep calling it a draft when it's not. Until it's actually physically delivered, don't believe a single word they say. I'm trying to refrain from profanity, you can tell. Don't believe anything they say. They are straight up liars and gaslighters. That's what they do for a living. That's all they do. They are incapable of telling the truth. They're not even capable of telling the truth to their own shareholders. Anyway, enough of that. I'm righteously angry. I am righteously angry. It feels good to be this angry for a good reason. Amazing. Yeah, thanks, Troy. Amazing the Kickstarter agreed to a draft, huh? Kickstarter was quick to sell out their creators. Yeah, I've got words about Kickstarter, particularly Back-A-Kit. My experience with Kickstarter was not a pleasant one when I was making the battle mats and stuff. And of course, the whole COVID thing happened as well. I lost about $40,000 of my own money from that. Basically, that was money that was generated from the thing, but all of the money that I would have made from that Kickstarter went to paying the extra shipping fees to get everybody's products out to them, no matter what. I was quite willing to go bankrupt to get everybody's products out to them. That's just the way I am. But I learned valuable lessons about how Kickstarter operates, and publishing a book is an entirely different kettle of fish. And I also have the complete support of Trollhalla Press and all of the other people who are involved. We're all working together as a collective to stagger our Kickstarters and self-promote each other and cross-promote each other. So I've got a lot of support, and Godforge is going to get a lot more prominence than just me doing it by myself. So I'm working with a team of people, and I'm putting in the work to help them as well. So half of my activity will be promoting my stuff. The rest of my activity will be shouting the praises of everybody else involved in the writing group, as a collective should. Hey, thanks, Sound Conjurer, upgraded to Gold Dragon. Thank you very much. Robin Searles, member for 6 months. Gold Dragon, thank you. Can't wait for the book to go to press. Awesome. Yeah, it's going to be a while. I'll probably get it written in a few months, but I'm going to be streamlining it and editing it and cutting it down and getting as tight as possible. And that's going to take some time. When you're putting out a book, it's a different kettle of fish from making a YouTube script where I'm basically just writing it for me to read and say. The book is going to be a real professional writing experience, which I haven't really done before. I've never really sat down and written an entire RPG. I have homebrewed RPG versions of things, like I made a 4th edition D&D version of Warhammer 40k where a bunch of Space Marines visited Faerun. So I actually have adapted and written a whole system like that. But yeah, this is going to be... It's going to be mostly creative. The main benefit here is I'm not creating the rule system from scratch. I'm using a pre-existing, perfectly working rule system that I don't need to change at all. So that weight is off my mind. I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm just using a very good system which has survived for 50 years, relatively unchanged, because it absolutely works at the table. It absolutely works. And I think that particularly 5th edition players who are looking for something new, who haven't really delved into any indie games, Pathfinder is certainly a path that you can travel to carry on with the theme of role-playing that you like, which is Dungeons & Dragons. But Pathfinder is a very crunchy system, so you're actually going into something more complex than 5th edition. I would suggest going into something a little bit more rules light, because you are used to a more narrative form of roleplay. That's what you've been trained on. That's what you're used to. So Pathfinder, in a way, for you, is a step back into old school D&D, more crunchy D&D. And if you wanted to go that way, I'd say check out Palladium or something like that, which are far more simulationist and more nitty gritty. I can demonstrate to you that it's a lot easier than people imply. Palladium is, as far as I'm concerned, a very, very good system. And I've never had any problem with it. I've played it for 30, 40 years. I've got no problem with it. I've never had. So yeah, I've got a couple of house rules I make, which is just out of convenience, but it's not because the system is broken in any way. And anybody who says so is just basically just repeating a bit of misinformation meme that's been around for a very long time. And maybe they're just a little bit bitter. I don't know. Tunnels and Trolls is a remarkably simple system. Anybody who's played a choose your own adventure style book, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. That sort of system where you just learn it, it's got what you need, and you just get into the story. You get into the storytelling. And the game master is really the one who's directing everything as they should. Wow, there are lots of super chats today. Thank you. CJ, thank you. Do you think that this Wizards of the Coast situation could be the start of a larger movement amongst creators toward open source IP and resistance to corporate control of media creative spaces more generally? I absolutely believe that. Yes, that is exactly what's going on. We're seeing. I think this is actually just the first domino. I think everybody's just really, really sick and tired of authorities which are not helping. They're actually standing in the way of us fixing everything. So it starts with corporations, major corporations. And when you think about it, major corporations are the ones who pay politicians to do nothing. So we need to attack the source of the money that's working against us. And we're the ones that are the source of the money. So all we have to do is just turn the tap off. It's almost like, hey man, just put on these sunglasses. Just put the frickin' sunglasses on, okay? Put the sunglasses on or I'll beat the shit out of you until you put the sunglasses on. Okay, put the sunglasses on. Are we ready? Wow, they've been lying to us and manipulating us the entire time. I think it's time to get a shotgun and start shooting some CEOs. Metaphorically speaking, I don't condone violence at all. at all. Anybody. Don't go hassling anybody. Just wake up, man. Wake up. 2023, wake up. Okay? We need to start fixing the situation ourselves. And we have the internet, we have our own communication and authority structures, and they're very mobile, and there's nothing that these entities can do about it. When you think about it, role players operate like cells, right? We're individual groups that largely don't communicate with each other. Centralized message goes out. All of these groups start acting in concert, and all of a sudden, it just, from Hasbro's point of view, it comes out of nowhere. They didn't see it coming. They didn't know that we were this organized. They had no idea. They kept saying, oh, you're a community, in the same way that, say, YouTube calls me a partner. I'm not a partner, I'm a contractor, but they can't legally say that because contractor has legal obligations involved with it that gives me rights and privileges that they don't want me to have. So they call me a partner, but I'm not actually a partner at all. They'll sell me out in a second. They have before, they will again. I've told them this to their face. I said, don't ever call me a partner in person. You can say that as much as you like, but if you ever call me a partner, our conversations stops right there. Same thing with Wizards of the Coast. They call us a community. They don't think we're a community. They think we're just a bunch of individuals, right? So we just turned around and showed them, actually, we are a community. And when we have a common enemy, we all band together and fight. Hello? Look at an adventuring group. You got a dwarf, the OSR movement. You've got elves, which is Critical Role and the woke movement. You've got humans who are just like the creamy center, but we're interested in like power. We just want to take control back. You got the halflings who are like, hey man, like I love this community that we're all having together. Let's all talk and share, and maybe we can reach a compromise. We just need to get our message across. And then you've got the orcs who are like, fuck them. The wargamers. We're all a community of disparate people from different backgrounds and different cultures and different stuff who come together as an adventuring party to slay the dragon. And the dragon, we know exactly who the dragon is now. So this is fantastic. I've never felt more connected to our community that we really have now. We really have a community. And it's fantastic. People are talking to each other that haven't talked to each other in years. And we've been put at each other's throat by the corporation, which has been calling us a community. They've been gaslighting us the entire time. Everything they say that is bad, they're doing. Everything they say that they're working against, they've done. Do you see? Do you see now? Do you see? Do you see? Okay, enough. Sorry, it's very easy for me to slip into rant mode right now, as I imagine everybody is. I'm righteously angry. I'm a freaking space marine right now. Okay, I'm pumped up like with testosterone. I'm ready to metaphorically take heads. Dwayne, thank you. As the premier YouTube of monster ecology and race lore, I'd love to see your own creations. What ideas do you have for a monster manual and character subraces? So I don't believe in a monster manual per se. I think that you could probably just basically create your own monster manual in about 5 minutes these days using chat AI and the right prompts. You honestly could. You can generate your own artwork. You honestly can. And it's pointless denying the fact that you can do that. It's pointless. So why would you bother making a monster manual aside from just people who don't have the wherewithal or gumption to do that themselves? I can, of course, and I will certainly provide a lot of resources in there for you. But a lot of it is like in those of you who played 5th edition, you can easily just use the CR standard tables to make any particular creature you want. And for the most part, if something's got 1 hit point, it doesn't matter how many hit points it is. It's just an animal. It's just a squirrel or something like that. You don't need to stat it out. You don't need to stat out a cat or a moose. We all know what moose, stat, and squirrels and stuff do. We don't need rules for that. It's common sense. It's common sense. If the squirrel turns around and talks to you and casts a spell, yeah, maybe you need some stats then. But just for the talking and the spell stuff, it's still just a squirrel. If your warrior comes up with a sword and hits the squirrel's gonna die unless the squirrel can dodge out of the way. And that's where the basic rule system comes in for combat. You don't need to change anything. You don't need to overly describe everything. So for the most part, monsters don't even need stats. They just have a monster rating in Tunnels and Trolls base system, the monster base system. So it's very, very easy. So you don't really need a monster manual. The monster manual is really just pictures of the monsters and descriptions of their lore, and a couple of notes on a special trait that that particular creature has to help it survive in the world. You don't even need to give them stats most of the time. So it's just lore, really. Same thing with the character races that Tunnels and Trolls has. We know what a ghoul is and a basilisk, but why is it slightly different in this world, compared to other things? So that's where I stand on that. Hey Troy, thank you. When you get map done, get some geopolitical experts, zoologists, and other experts, build the lore around the world so that it makes sense. This is the thing, Troy. A Dyson sphere is much, 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 much larger than the surface of any planet. It is absolutely enormous. So if I mapped the Godforge, it would only ever be a tiny section of it, which would dwarf the entire world surface of any world setting that you have. So literally every single time you sit down and play a new campaign, you will be generating all of that information from the random roll tables. That is what I'm building for you. You don't need to consult an expert. I am an expert, and I'm condensing it all into a set of random roll tables that work perfectly together. So literally you just pick up some dice, and the power of the gods is in the palm of your hand. That's on the cover of the book, and I mean it. You create whatever you want, fresh and new, and for your game, instantaneous. Like, it is a form of entertainment in and of itself. It's an enjoyable experience. World building in this is extremely streamlined and made for anybody. So you don't need to be an expert. You won't even have to have done it ever before. It's literally just step 1, roll this. Step 2, roll this. Step 3, do you want to roll this? Step 4, roll this too. Combine it together. Oh, okay. There we go. I've got I've got trade routes. I've got technological superiority. I've got conflict between these two nations here because of these two results. It's just all built in there for you. So that's why it's going to take me a good amount of time to get those tables absolutely streamlined. But as I say, I've been working on them for a very long time, and I've got a bunch of very, very, very good writers who I have been working with on lots of different projects who I'm now back in contact with. So yeah, we're going to see it. It's absolutely take off. But thank you. Good comment. Good question. Thanks, Sir William. Okay. Back to talking to you guys. Sorry, it's a bit unusual for me to just rant at the camera and not pay much attention to the chat. I apologize. Can we talk Rifts, please? No one here talks about it. Well, Rifts is probably going to get a lot more attention from me as well because it is my first love, obviously, and Rifts lore is incredibly exciting. Not only that, but it is literally a universal rule system. It's one of the first ones that was produced. It's the crunchiest universal rule system, hands down. Nobody can take that away from Palladium. It is the first crunchy simulationist rule system ever made. And it's the first one. GURPS is a simplistic rule system that's universal. Just uses D6s and stuff. Palladium uses the full polyhedral set, but it's mostly D20 and percentiles. Unfortunately, I can't use percentiles for my random roll tables for Tunnels and Trolls because it is a D6 system, and I want to stay true to that. I don't want to deviate away from the majesty which is Tunnels and Trolls because I have absolute respect for it. So I'm not going to be. I'm just going to be adding to. I'm not going to take anything away from Tunnels and Trolls. You really can't. Yeah, it's a Kickstarter coming up. It's using the tunnels, the monsters core rules. Here it is. Here, this is the printout. The actual rules, right? Most of this book is actually a solo adventure. The actual rules of the game is, where are we? Hang on, I'll take away the title page. The standee miniatures that they include. The title blurbs. The introduction of what a role-playing game is. And here's the rules. This, this largely, this and this. That's it. That's all you need to know. You can start playing just after browsing those rules. That's it. Yeah, you really have to check out Tunnels and Trolls. It's been around since the beginning. Wow, thanks, Redu. Can't wait for the book. Yeah, I'm so excited. This is going to be great. Titan, yeah. I know I did scare a lot of people. They thought, a lot of people made the assumption that, like, with departure and stuff like that, because, you know, people just click on a headline and make assumptions these days. It's the internet. What do you want? And they thought that departure meant that I was leaving YouTube and not doing videos on stuff on lore anymore. No, I was very clear. All I'm doing is just avoiding the lore of one company. That's it. You know, I'm still going to make lore, and I mean it. I'm going to make it until I die. I'm never going to stop making videos. My content is just going to increase. I've been burnt out. I've been fighting through burnout on 5th edition for the last 2 years, and it started to really affect me. So when I asked people, you know, can I move away from this? And I was willing to go either way. And when they said, it was a very strong result saying, go independent, start exploring other game systems. I'm like, yeah, great. And then I was just like, wait, how many people are actually role players that are watching my content? And it's about half, maybe. So although you guys are all really like into role-playing and stuff, there's a lot of subscribers to my channel who have never played a role-playing game, and they just want a person with a good voice who's telling them stories. The other thing, I'm just going to rip this down from my wall here. When I was talking to my YouTube partner manager, it's unfair. She's really nice. But, you know, they just assign one to you every 6 months or so. She told, and I said, I want to do podcasting on people want to just hear my voice and stuff doing podcasts. How do I do that on YouTube? And she said, oh, were you not aware, AJ, that half of all of the podcasts are actually on YouTube? It's the second most popular source of podcasts. I'm like, what? People have been doing monetized podcasts all along? And then she's like, yeah, I'm amazed you didn't know that. I'm like, I did not know that. So she was actually really helpful. So here we have the list of all of the instructions on how to do the podcast. So yeah, I'm going to be doing podcasts now. So that's twice as much output because I don't have to worry about all the artwork and shit, you know, that costs a lot of my time, and also has been very controversial and stressful lately because I'm just trying to do the best that I can by everybody. I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to steal from anybody, but you know, you can't, it's just difficult. Like I didn't go down the route of having a animated character talking to the camera. I should have done that, but it just wasn't around when I first started doing D&D videos. Maybe I should go that way. Just have an animated Sage character. Because I'm an artist. I can draw that. I can do all that. I can even have a sculptured 3D show if you want to. It'll take some time, but if I just have stock images and things like that I can use to sort of semi-animate it, I can absolutely do that. So I'm fully responsive to whatever you want me to do. If you want me to go away from doing the fantasy art stuff, because I have to largely get that from, because the speed that I put out content, and also the cost from commissioning artists and things. Yeah. Like, for instance, with the cover for the Godforge fantasy gaming, that was, I made some inquiries from artists and stuff. I looked at their portfolios and their art styles, which largely weren't sort of fantasy based. And then they gave me quotes of like $800 to $1,200 US to do it, and it would take like a couple of weeks. I needed it that day. I needed a finished work that day, and I put out lots of feelers and things, and I got lots of feedback, and I got lots of help. But largely, I just did that myself using AI software, MS Paint, and that's it. I literally just put that together, and also I'm a site that does lettering and stuff. And that was the result that I got. So yeah, my confidence in my artistic ability is pretty high right now. So yeah. A VTuber, why not? Femboy AJ, hardly Stanchgate. I mean, for the podcast and stuff, have a sort of more VTuber style. Why not? If I'm not talking about game stats, which I absolutely don't give a shit about game stats, honestly. And those bits have always been the bit. I've always seen the audience engagement and drop off whenever I start talking stats. They're just not interested in it. Even role players are not interested in that. Like the 5th edition role players were not watching me talking about the stats of the monster. I'm like, why am I even doing this? Why am I even doing it? It takes so much time and effort. DM Daddy AJ Calendar. Oh. Yeah, me and Dungeon Dad, Josiah Ambrose, were joking about 2023 being the year that we all get buff and start dressing in fashionable outfits and stuff. Just so happens that I have to work out every day. Even engineers don't want to hear about stats. Yeah, exactly, Devlin, exactly. Stats are the fudge bits. The fluff makes it work. Exactly, Almira. Oh, also, Almitra, I rarely ever say your name out loud. I always read it. Thank you very much for all of your participation and comments lately. They've been really good. I've noticed. Hey, Flutes Loot. You're an engineer? Yes. You're actually going to the gym? Yes. Yeah. Hey, Moonring. Hey, good news, Moonring. Although, unfortunately, I have to move away from the Ixodar Chittles, there's a species called the Zytikics in Rifts, an insectoid invader species called DBs. You're going to absolutely love if you haven't heard about them already. They're not fish people, unfortunately. They're alien insectoid invaders who kick serious ass. Like they're real nasty. You need power armor and railguns to go up against them. Two engineers meet each other. Ah, kismet. Podcast? Yep. Absolutely. Podcast is a go. R.I.P. Vampire Manta Rays. Yeah, but have you read Vampire Kingdoms by Rifts by Palladium Books? It's one of the best role-playing supplements ever written. You're interested? Damn right. Rifts is great. I also love all of the STC titles, so they're going to get a lot of love from me. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Robotech, all that stuff. Well, Robotech was the first introduction of Mega Damage. Their guns only did like 1 mega damage, and then Rifts happened, and now you've got mega damage cigarette lighters. Thanks a lot, Wilkes. Anyway, so I always thought that Rifts was a little bit too hard on the thing. So my homebrew rule was the 1 to 10, not 1 to 100. To explain that to other people. No, I won't actually. I won't even go into it. It's too obscure right now. We need background. So I do MDC as 1 to 10, not 1 to 100. So it's 100 SDC to 1 MDC in Rifts, but I do 10 SDC to 1 MDC in my Rifts games, and I just find it works a little bit better. Just a little bit more forgiving on characters that have come across from Palladium Books, fantasy characters and stuff like that, and SDC characters. Superheroes can handle that sort of thing, but they can do the 1 to 100 as well. And yeah, Heroes Unlimited has always been my first love. Harry Dresden RPG system, yep. Savage Rifts powered down MDC. Oh, did they? Okay, well that's good to know. I was on the right track, hey? Do you have any pets? Yeah, she's right there. That's pretty. Sitting in your tower, listening to me waffle on. Wizard Coast needs to put you on the payroll. Death first. I'm never working for that company. As long as I live, I never will. I worked adjacent to them. I was hired by Took Games to be a law consultant for the Dark Alliance game with Drist and Canterbury and Wolfgar and Bruno Batterholmer. And then when Took got bought out or taken over by Wizard of the Coast, I noticed an immediate exploitation of my talents. So it got nasty real quick when Hasbro got involved. So no, I will never work for that company. They are morally bankrupt. They put enormous amounts of pressure and they're exploitive of creative people. They give them horrible contracts, exploitive, abusive contracts, and they are really nasty. I will never work for Hasbro or Wizard of the Coast as long as I live. In fact, I don't think really I'm ever going to be under the payroll of anybody again. I'm not an employee. I'm done with that. I've been working since I was 8 years old. If you count my paper run, 11 years old as a waged employee. I quit as soon as I could. I'm done. The damage has been done. I've done some very hard physical labor jobs in my life, and if you understand what physical condition I'm in and have been dealing with, it's absolutely incredible that I survived through that shit. You know, I had to quit jobs because I just got physically broken on occasion. Yeah. Cyberpunk, yes, absolutely. As I was mentioning at the start of this live stream, nanotechnology and stuff is involved in the high technology of Godforge will be explained. I'm not going to leave anything I'm not going to shove everything. Nothing is shoved under the rug of, it's just magic. Nothing. I explain it's called science fantasy gaming. Science fantasy gaming. Splugorth, yep. Splinkrith and the markets of Atlantis. Oh, yes. I live there, buddy. Yeah, Wizards of the Coast is the worst thing to ever happen to D&D. Hands down, no argument. We all know it's true. Is that even legal working as an 11-year-old? Yeah, back in the 1980s, yeah. I was born in 1973. I'm as old as Dungeons and Dragons. I don't look it because of the medical condition I have. Collagen, connective tissue, no wrinkles. I don't bruise and I don't scar. It's a weird thing. Go and look it up. I'm not going to talk about it. Liches of the Coast, yeah. All right, everybody. I don't know when I started, but I pretty much ran out of steam, and I really had everything that I needed to say. This was really just like a outpouring of stuff and letting everybody know what's going on. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again very soon. Live streams are now going to continue every weekend as per usual. I just had a big break there, but I've got a lot to talk about, and I really missed you guys. This is really good for my soul. This is good for my creativity. I'm a creative person that thrives in a collaborative environment where I get feedback from people. So I want to build this game with you. Yeah. The other option is, of course, I jump on board a cargo ship and sail across the sea, completely disconnected from the internet. I just make a whole big bunch of videos and then automatically upload them. And I disappear for like months at a time because I'm on a cargo ship writing an RPG. And then I'll arrive in Canada with manuscript. I like that. It's a romantic idea, but no. Yeah, I'm a dire halfling. Definitely. That's my species. More rifts. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. I missed you too. Love you lots. I know I'm welcome in Canada. I don't need your welcome in Canada. I have an aunt. I've got two uncles, our aunt. I've got bunches of first cousins over there that I really miss. So Canada is like another home for me. Like it's just I haven't been there yet. But literally, I'll be walking in and kicking my shoes off and saying hey and hugging everybody at home. Yeah. So shout out to Uncle Mark and Auntie Linda and Uncle Theo and my cousins Ray and Steve. Nio and all them. Eat raw liver. Yeah, I don't talk about my diet and stuff too. I'm not an Atarian anything. I just eat what I need. But yeah, my Mighty Glue Stick Canada Con. Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to going. I'll probably go over to my port of call will be Vancouver Island because that's where my aunt and uncle are. So I'll be going over and staying with them, and then looking at living in Vancouver for a while, as long as I'm allowed to. Okay, peace out. See you later, everybody. Thanks very much for joining me.